Hello and welcome to Manufacturing Matters, where we cover manufacturing technology that makes sure that manufacturing still matters. And I'm here with Todd Mason-Darnell and Liz Lopez of Omron. Thanks for taking some time out of this busy day 2 of the conference to come visit with me. I really appreciate it today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. It's been great. Fantastic. All right, so let's kick off. Todd, tell us a little bit about yourself and then give us the lowdown on Omron and its very brief 90-year history inside the automation space.
Yeah, so I'm the marketing manager for core technologies at Omron, which includes our components, safety, and sensor portfolio, as well as our complete services portfolio, which include our training department. Omron, as you mentioned, is celebrating our 90th year in business this year. And one of the things that Omron is doing is really looking to expand from just providing products to support automation, but also really increasing our services portfolio. In particular with that training, we see that as a way to enable our customers to get more out of their automation solutions that they're being, and to help them achieve their goals as they evolve, with unintended challenges.
Adopting new technology. Yeah. That seems like the perfect transition to bring Liz in. Well, Liz, will you tell us a little bit about what you do at Omron?
Sure. My name is Liz Lopez. I'm the training services manager for Omron for the Americas. So I oversee the training development department. They focus on creating training curriculums. And then I have a training delivery team. They focus on the execution of our training portfolio.
Okay. And that's from Canada all the way down into South America?
Yes.
Fantastic. Let's start with just a couple of more basics if we could. So just to give a sense of context, right? Omron, giant company, global player, and we'll get it. We talked briefly about the breadth of products and everything, but people don't think about the training aspect. Todd, you mentioned really without training, no automation system is ever going to live up to its potential, right? So we're going to have unhappy customers. But you tell us a little bit about the portfolio of training that you currently offer.
Yeah, our overall portfolio consists of 90 courses in various languages. We mainly focus in the Americas region on 4 languages: English, Spanish, French, and Portuguese. Mm-hmm. And we cover our various training technologies. We also split training into different audience types.
Right.
Like if you have a manufacturer, you have maintenance personnel.
Right.
Your maintenance personnel wants to train products. That's a different curriculum that is offered.
Versus an engineering track.
Yeah.
Or an operator track.
Correct.
Now, in our earlier conversations, Todd, I think you mentioned the general concept of skills up, and that seems to kind of riff off of what Liz was just talking about there, right?
Yeah. So what we're seeing in a lot of our customers and kind of the need in the market is we really need to skill up their labor force. Right. As they're looking for adaptive automation, flexible automation, what they're realizing is they need to have an adaptable workforce who can change with the needs and adapt with the system, right? And so the types of skill sets that the individual may have had yesterday is not what they need tomorrow. Right. And so they're really looking to broaden the types of training they're offering to their employee, right, to help them develop into their career path and really support the company in the future.
And I think the career path mentioned in that is excellent. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was going to just mention that, right? That what we're seeing is a lot of engagements from HR departments who are looking for, previously it was an engineering type or maintenance type of engagement that we got from a maintenance manager who I've got 3 guys who need to know how to use the new system.
Right.
Now I've got an HR department who's starting to talk to us and say, listen, we want to look to develop a career development path for our employees and provide them training so they can grow with the company and acquire the skills that allow them to succeed.
And in some cases, those employees are really considered entry level. And so in some cases, we're also seeing that customers are now requesting training from a theory or fundamentals perspective that incorporates theory fundamentals and then goes into more of the programming or maintenance based on their various roles in their organizations.
I mean, it really is an outgrowth of kind of, we're all struggling with labor shortages, and COVID just really...
I was going to ask if COVID was driving this, or if we see this as a longer term...
I mean, it's a little bit of a longer term. We saw it before COVID, right? We were struggling with labor, but now really COVID magnified that. Not only did it increase the demand for automation and increase the demand for these skill sets, and the companies don't have access to labor. So, the analogy I often use is companies, they need a PLC programmer. They can't find a PLC programmer, but they are having trouble even finding someone who knows what a PLC is. So what they're looking for is, I need to bring someone in train them what a PLC is, and then train them on how to program SysMac.
And along those lines of post-pandemic now, with COVID, we learned, hey, we have to deliver training also differently to appeal to all the different audiences. Now training can be delivered virtually. Now there's more on-demand capability where there's pre-recorded videos to tailor to the convenience of the customer, the learner.
You just anticipated my next question, which was, what kind of changes are the marketplace requesting you? So you talked about it. Maybe you want to tie that in a little bit more to Omron's global reach, right? I mean, not only so you want to be there in the way they want, whether it's traditionally, I think most training was done in person. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. But we're seeing a lot more demand for virtual classes that are still instructor led, right?
Yeah, so traditionally training has been thought of as a lot of in-person training, customer. We would go to their facilities or they would come to ours. However, post-COVID now, we're also seeing a kind of a change or a shift where customers are requesting virtual training.
Right.
And we have to come up with, how do we make virtual training interactive, right? How do we still give them the overall experience that they would have received in a classroom or in-person setting virtually? And so we've created a way to adapt to remote connections with some of our products. And we were also now, because it is a virtual training, we are able to reach a more global or broader audience. And so globally for us, in terms of instructors, we're able to kind of create a skills assessment of what we can offer globally. And then from there, we're able to create global curriculums. So if your company is in the US, and they're also in Europe or Asia, we're able to now teach the same curriculum for that company at a global scale.
And I may be dating myself here, but I mean, the world really has become flat after COVID, even flatter. And what we're really seeing is companies, they want the same training for their employees that they're getting, that is here in the US, but they have a sister plant in Shanghai, right? They want to make sure that they are getting that same baseline. And so like Liz says, right, one of the things we can do is we can leverage, especially with the virtual content, right, and the instructor here in the United States is delivering the content, whereas the Omron instructor in Shanghai is delivering the same content, but obviously not in English, but maybe in Mandarin, right? Whatever or is needed by that local plant.
Absolutely.
So they're getting that consistent, but the company's getting that consistent baseline of information.
Which is interesting because that was always a driver for the adoption of automation technology in general, right? You wanted to have automated systems possibly developed from one location. The U.S. was well known for exporting these solutions around the world so that distributed manufacturing companies were able to have consistent quality across the whole enterprise.
Right.
Yeah, to kind of tie the knot too, now that we can deliver training globally, how do we manage the learning paths of all these learners at a global scale? And so we do have a learning management system, or referred to as an LMS,
right,
where we're able to kind of customize to that learner a learner path based on their needs, and then they're able to log in and see where they're at on the learner path, able to obtain their certificates. And from a manager's perspective, we're able to automate reporting for easy use, on a global scale.
Right. Go ahead, Todd.
Well, I was going to say, we've been focusing a lot on the kind of the skilled labor, the growth of automation, but the other place we're seeing companies squeezed is that they no longer have large in-house training organizations anymore.
Right.
They can't find the people, they can't find the time, right?
And if they do, it's probably not growing at the same pace as the overall company.
Exactly, right? So that's the other thing, right, is that they're looking for partners, right, to help them. And, not only do that basic skill-based advance, but also something like the LMS. We don't even know the first place of how to manage this training. I have 5,000 employees that are need to train globally and track.
Right. And it's not in developing engaging content that people are going to be able to access around the world is not exactly as simple as it sounds. Right. I mean, it's not just about writing it in multiple languages and making sure that it's engineering approved, not just translated, but actually relevant in the local dialect and cultural norm.
Yeah, right. I mean, we've all sat in death by PowerPoint presentations. So that's not what we want the training to be. It needs to be engaging. It needs to be this balance of lecturer and student interaction, right? And the right types of things for the students to learn the skills, and then also for us to be able to assess whether the student has acquired the skills.
And because of that, our virtual instructor-led curriculums include, they do include a live instructor. They include a lesson. Learning objectives, but they also include the demos or the labs. And although you're not physically with the product, from your remote location, you can easily connect to our robot device. You can see your lab via webcam as you're building out your program. And so it gives the user the capability to, although they don't physically have the product, they can still connect and complete their assignments. From an instructor perspective, we're also able to log into the remote PCs and ensure, hey, you know, I can offer support one-to-one if needed, if I see someone struggling in a particular area on a lab.
From our earlier conversations, I think you were saying that one of Omron's true value propositions is not that you can service the globe and train hundreds, thousands of people on a regular basis, companies can't, but you guys specifically tailor both custom curriculum and small class sizes, right? So that instructors are able to give that one-on-one love for each.
Yeah, we try to keep our class to about 10 to 12 students, try not to go above that value so that we are able to give that attention to those learners that we have in the course.
You know, it's funny, we talk about LMS systems, and I can see learning how to do PLCs. I can see how to learn how to do SysMac and similar related studios and environments like that. But how do you do that? And you mentioned about webcams earlier, but a little bit more. I know you provide AMR training specifically, right? So tell us about how that's structured.
Yeah, we do have a mobile robot class that we teach with a maximum 10 students. And the way that course is designed, because it is virtual, is we give students access to the simulator so that each student starts off the week just controlling one robot. You know, let me show you how to move one, program one. And by the end of the week, each student gets 5 robots. But because there's 10 learners there, it's 150 robots that one instructor is managing. And so it gives the instructor ability to work with the students individually. Each of them have their own access to a remote tool that we can collaborate with them on if they ask for support and if needed.
And the great thing about that simulator that Liz is talking about, or for the emulator that we use in SysMac in our PLC training, is that's capability that's resident in the software or in the product itself. It's not a separate system. So, you know, that's one of the great things, even when customers, once they go out of the class, they still have access to that to run the simulation of the PLC program at their computer before they ever have to go to hardware, right? So they can identify those bugs and those problems right there as opposed to on the floor, right, when they're trying to get the machine released.
Yeah, with also a great data tracking so that your instructors and the managers are able to obviously see where people might be struggling. Yeah, give them that attention and reward those who are putting in maximum effort and doing, overachieving. While opening up more career paths for everybody at your customer companies.
Right.
So that's just super cool across the board. And it's funny, we just don't think about training and the service support and the pre-engineering and these things, but training is just such a critical component. So I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah.
But, so training's training. We talked about LMS. We talked about making it more interactive. I'm going to bet you that there's probably a good amount of video and other things in the data reporting metrics. Okay, we can all see that. We can all understand that. So now, if you're looking at your crystal ball, tell us where's the future?
Let me get it out here. So
you can rub this.
Yeah, I can try. Well, I don't have to go far either on that one. So honestly, what we see a lot more of is customers are looking for access to micro learning.
Right.
Little 3-5 minute task-based learnings that they can do that's accessible mobile.
Right.
They're on the floor. I need to know how to do this real quick, right? And they want to be able to access it. I've got enough to get me by, right? Or so that's how we're all starting to consume a lot of information now. Is in that kind of that YouTube format, 3 to 5 minutes.
We do, and even super critical in emerging markets.
Right.
From a manufacturing perspective, it's very difficult to pull an employee out for days at a time.
Yeah.
And so a lot of customers are now requesting this. I need the information when I need it. I need to know how to calibrate the robot now because I'm having that issue. And I need to do that portion. So a lot of this bite-sized pieces of training or how-to videos is where the market is.
Also makes a beautiful reference library. If I'm struggling with something specific, I've made it through the program already, but let's face it, if we're not doing it on a daily basis, that exact calibration routine.
That's there exactly, right? It's the use it or lose it. So I can go back and get that refresher just on that part.
So when will I be able to access this training on my PS4 headset?
Well, not quite there yet.
Coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, is there anything that we haven't touched on regarding the importance of training, future of training, or we nailed it?
I think we've got close. The one area we're really seeing growth in training now from customers is, we train a lot on our products, right? But Omron also has a relationship with TUD Rhineland on functional safety training.
Right.
And we're seeing a huge explosion in interest from our customers in general safety training for functional safety, right? So they want to get not only general awareness in the training, but also get their technicians certified as functional safety technicians, and also more engineers certified as functional safety engineers, because of that emerging focus or refocus on safety in the plants, and they want to drive that awareness and that capability into their QNAP.
So, Liz, if you're delivering these safety training sessions all around the world, and we've got different standards all around the world, how do you adapt?
We do. We have different standards, and we also have TUV certified experts on our team that are equipped to handle the various standards for particular regions that they're delivering the training in. And this training is also being able, because it is exam-based, we are able to still deliver it virtually with a proctoring tool.
Fantastic. Liz, Todd, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your busy day to come visit with us today. Thank you so much for sharing. Well, maybe this will help folks to stop thinking of training as the last thing we want to think about, and make it an important consideration when we're adopting new technology solutions.
Yeah.
And so thanks for everything you're doing. I appreciate it today.
Thanks for having us.
A pleasure. So thank you for visiting us on this latest episode of Manufacturing Matters. If you like it, please share below, and you can access all of our older episodes on manufacturing-matters.com or your favorite podcast platform, wherever you get your news. So until our next episode, remember that manufacturing still matters here and around the world. And until next episode, thank you.